The story begins with the main character slicing vegetables at remarkable speed as he rushes to prepare a fresh salad for his business. Right after, he cracks an egg into a hot pan that hisses the moment it touches the surface. Once everything is in place, he announces that he is finally ready for the grand opening. At a distance, a group of men in suits watches his food truck, noting that he seems only minutes away from starting service. Around the same time, a citywide alert about Go Daechun's food truck spreads instantly, setting off chaos everywhere. People on a bus beg the driver to hurry. Teachers walk out of their classrooms mid-lecture, heading straight for the truck. Office workers ask their bosses for sudden leave, unwilling to miss the chance to taste his food. Inside a monitoring center, someone stares at a screen in disbelief as the crowd number jumps from 100,000 to more than 1 million. Seeing the growing frenzy, a mysterious woman decides she must move now before it is too late. She insists that this time she will not let Daechun slip away. Soon, countless girls begin sprinting, driving, and doing whatever they must to reach the food truck. One young woman in particular looks overwhelmed with anticipation as she makes her way through the streets. The tiny food truck has somehow become the focal point of nearly the entire city. And there he stands, saying that for once he is not late to open shop. His earlier preparations turn into a lineup of dishes so varied and flavorful that even the ratatouille critic would be struck silent. This is Go Daechun, the hero of our story and a genuine culinary master. From his food truck, he greets the enormous crowd rushing toward him from every direction. The crowd erupts with excitement at the sight and smell of his food, and the place is surrounded by a soft pink glow. It seems the charm of the cook, not just the taste of his dishes, might be part of the frenzy. But before this entire scene, there is a flashback of Doc sitting alone in a dark room, lost in his phone. His screen is flooded with messages about loans and overdue payments. We discover he lost 300 million won in a scam promising big profits for buying items and writing glowing reviews. A news broadcast confirms hundreds of others fell for the same trick. What crushed him most was the sting of being fooled, which eventually cost him his day job. Feeling hopeless, he bought a stack of alcohol to drown the weight of it all. That night he wandered the snowy streets, drinking alone, getting more and more wasted. Then, out of nowhere, he caught the smell of something incredible drifting from a small food truck. The sign read Go Daechun. He checked his pockets and realized he barely had enough coins for anything. The cook noticed his gloomy expression and asked him why he looked so down. But the drunken man snapped back, telling him not to act like he understood his problems. He glared hard at the chef, suspicion and resentment filling his eyes. The cook, wearing a bandana labeled Daechun, simply laughed and offered him free takoyaki, assuming hunger was the real issue. Our main character practically drooled at the scent, even while doubting the stranger's kindness. Still, he took a giant bite of the warm, juicy octopus ball. The moment it touched his tongue, the flavor hit him like a cosmic explosion. The soft batter and chewy octopus sent him soaring through an imaginary galaxy. The sauce and toppings wrapped around him like a spinning Milky Way. He felt as if an entire universe melted inside him, warming a part of his soul he thought he had lost. The comfort was so overwhelming that tears rolled down his face. With a playful tone, the chef asked what he thought. Crying openly, the man said that he wished he could make others feel exactly what he was feeling at that moment. Sensing the fire in his eyes, Daechun asked him what he was waiting for. Smiling kindly, the chef invited him aboard the food truck. 3 years passed, and the young man worked tirelessly to repay Uncle Daechun's kindness. He keeps a photo of his mentor in the truck, always feeling like the debt in his heart can never truly be paid. The old chef's scoldings still echo in his memory, a constant guide. So he vows that the name Go Daechun will become famous across the country. Meanwhile, in a luxury district, a high-end restaurant bustles with waiters preparing for an exclusive guest. 2 employees whisper among themselves, wondering if anyone could really rent out an entire 3-star restaurant. That guest is the only daughter of the SH Group, the richest conglomerate in the world. Her name is Nam Si-hee, and an army of chefs and waiters stands ready to serve only her. On their phones, images show her flying to school by helicopter and renting private islands for an afternoon break. The staff envy her extravagant life. Yet her expression as she cuts into her meal shows nothing but frustration. Every move she makes is judged by those around her, and the emptiness of her routine weighs on her. The dishes set before her have no sincerity, only luxury, only money. Then something unthinkable happens. She suddenly throws up food prepared by one of the world's top chefs. Wiping her mouth, she realizes wealth cannot fill the hollow space inside her. She sets her fork down, feeling trapped in a glass box. She closes her eyes, sensing herself fading piece by piece. Back in the present, the city's traffic crawls to a halt. Inside her car, Si-hee says she cannot breathe. The driver asks if she wants the window opened, but she simply smiles and writes sorry on the glass before stepping out. In a moment of daring grace, she leaps across cars and escapes her driver. Desperate, the man calls Chief Kim to report that the young miss has run away. Si-hee wanders freely, finally feeling alive. She leaves everything behind in the car to avoid being tracked. She is determined to live as the real Nam Si-hee for a change. Still, she wonders how long she will last with only a few checks, each worth 10 million won. While walking down the street, she spots a help wanted sign. The pay is 13,201 won an hour, and she decides to accept the job. At work, she greets customers with a bright smile. Soon a huge man approaches, questioning the buy one, get one free deal. She calmly confirms it and hands over the items, leaving him stunned. Moments later, a drunk man tries to trade a live chicken for a bottle of soju. To everyone's shock, she accepts the chicken without hesitation. A worried customer asks if she is all right as the store erupts into chaos, with the chicken running wild and people passed out on the floor. She responds with a thumbs up. The owner then storms out and orders everyone to leave. It becomes clear that Si-hee did not perform well and ends up fired from the small convenience store. Somewhere else, another boss kicks her out for dressing like a spoiled heiress. She tries again but gets rejected once more, hearing that he refuses to work with someone like her. Still determined, she tries a corner coffee shop next. There, she is confused, unsure what she has done wrong since she tried to be polite and cheerful. She gets her coffee and asks the price, showing the boss her checks. Sensing an opportunity, he claims the drink costs 60 million won. Si-hee freezes, stunned by the ridiculous price. She apologizes quickly and rushes out while the barista watches in confusion. The boss notices she left the checks behind and tries to call after her. Defeated, she collapses on the sidewalk, overwhelmed by how difficult life is for ordinary people. Crying, she admits to herself that without money and status she feels like nothing. Then a mouth-watering smell reaches her. It is coming from the food truck of our protagonist. The aroma comes from fish-shaped pastries sizzling away. He asks how many she would like, but she can only stare, captivated by the scent. Jun-ho thinks that the girl looks a little strange for staring at him with such intensity. The usually confident Si-hee is completely speechless. Embarrassed, she explains that she has been fired from every job she tried and asks if he accepts credit. He turns down her request, while the ghost of his master mutters that she does not even have 5 won to her name. Her expression falls apart, and once again she feels powerless. The sight reminds the protagonist of his own past, when he felt just as useless. Moved by that memory, he invites her into the food truck, surprising her. He tells her to start by making a fish-shaped pastry. Si-hee fumbles through the steps and he urges her to hurry, saying that he is starving. Unsure of the process, she pours the batter into the mold the way she assumes is right. She then adds the red bean filling, trying to guess the proper amount. After closing the mold, she waits anxiously, praying she got it right. But her first attempt ends in total failure. The pastry comes out burnt, blackened beyond saving. She apologizes, feeling ridiculous for failing at something so simple. To her shock, he picks up the ruined pastry and takes a bite. He says that it is still edible, then hands her a single coin as payment for her effort. After that, he asks whether she wants to work with him, since she has no job. The heiress hesitates, thinking over this sudden offer. When she does not answer fast enough, he says that she does not have to accept. But Si-hee then grabs his hand with the coin in it and accepts with great enthusiasm. She calls him Miss Duck-chun in her excitement, thrilled to finally have something resembling work. When the day ends, she beams as she thanks a customer. With her help, Jun-ho manages to sell out the entire food truck's stock. She then asks eagerly if she was helpful. He becomes awkward, unsure how to respond. He shows her the box of burnt pastries she made and tells her it was just average. Si-hee sighs in relief and promises she will do better tomorrow. He thinks that it does not matter what she calls him, as long as he can make his uncle's name known across the country. Seeing she is cold, he offers her his jacket for the walk home. The simple gesture touches her deeply, and she presses the jacket to her face. Meanwhile, the ghost of Uncle Jun-ho is overjoyed, proud of the protagonist for acting like a gentleman. Back at the truck, Jun-ho offers to give her a ride. An awkward silence settles between them. Then Si-hee admits that she finally found a job but has nowhere to sleep. The revelation shocks both him and the old ghost. He cannot believe the truth. He never imagined a girl dressed like a celebrity might be homeless. He offers her the day's wages and tells her to find a place to stay. She blushes a deep red when he gives her the money. Watching her, he thinks she really knows how to make someone worry. With no clear plan, he simply drives the truck for a while. For dinner, he prepares ramen for her. He explains that ramen is all they have at the moment. The young woman lights up with excitement while holding a small cat. She recalls a fancy seafood noodle dish she ate long ago. She says she has only had ramen once, and he assumes she was so poor she could afford it only that one time. In reality, she never ate simple food because of strict diets. She hugs the cat and comments that it looks a lot like Mr. Jun-ho. He explains that the cat is just a stray that visits from time to time. She says she thought this place was a shelter for it, but he reveals that this is his home, catching her completely off guard. When the ramen is ready, he hands her a bowl. She takes one bite and her eyes shine at the flavor. She devours the food and says it tastes incredible, which leaves him embarrassed. She adds that the noodles are spicy yet soft and asks how he achieved that texture. His secret appears. He beats an egg with a little milk to create a smooth mixture. Then he mixes the cooked noodles thoroughly in the bowl so each strand is coated. Finally, he pours the broth carefully, completing the dish. With her stomach full, she thanks him, saying she cannot remember the last time she ate so much. When it is time to sleep, she says she will stay on the floor so she does not overstep. He closes a curtain and says they can share the space without any problem. Lying down, she asks if he feels cramped, but he claims he does not. The ghost uncle mutters that she is the perfect daughter-in-law and calls the protagonist a fool for not realizing it. Si-hee thanks him for the day, saying she wanted to feel capable on her own, and that he is the first person who ever believed in her. She says that for the first time she lived as the real Nam Si-hee instead of the rich girl. Because he gave her such a precious day, she promises she will change his life. She then asks how much it would cost for him to fulfill his promise. When he does not answer, she decides to open the curtain. She finds him sleeping soundly, completely unaware, his ears plugged. Suddenly, a blinding light fills the room as the roar of a helicopter explodes through the night. The window shatters. A special agent announces over the radio that he has located the young miss. He grabs Si-hee and carries her to the waiting helicopter while she screams for Mr. Jun-ho. The ghost watches in anguish as she is taken away, but the protagonist stays asleep while the old man's spirit cries for his lost daughter-in-law. The next morning, sunlight glints off broken glass scattered across the floor. Jun-ho wakes in confusion, with no idea what happened. He stares at the mess in disbelief. Soon after, he begins his usual routine at the food truck. His master's ghost laments, saying he truly believed he had finally gained a daughter-in-law. As the truck runs, a huge screen displays an advertisement featuring Si-hee, and the ghost recognizes her instantly. He shouts her name, stunned as the truth clicks into place. He wonders how he failed to recognize her earlier. The promise she made and her question about the cost echo in his memory. The ghost panics, calling his nephew an idiot for missing such a golden chance. He remembers her chaotic departure and believes they will never meet again. But surprising them both, the heiress suddenly appears and says she has come back. The protagonist asks what happened, since she vanished and shattered his window. She hands him a check as thanks for the previous day and for the trouble she caused. The ghost is stunned when he sees the amount. 1 billion won. The protagonist begins to feel suspicious. He studies the check while the ghost continues to gape at it. Si-hee ignores their reactions and asks what today's special is. Thinking the check is fake, he tosses it in the trash and says today's special is fried chicken. She becomes thrilled at the idea of tasting the famous Korean chicken. The ghost panics and screams that the money is real as he desperately reaches into the trash for the check. Si-hee asks if she can help. and the old ghost scolds her for not noticing the mistake. Jun-ho starts sweating when he sees her reaction. Si-hee is shocked, saying she knows 15 languages but has never made batter before. Even so, she ties her hair back with determination and says she will try her best. He watches her with a bored stare, unimpressed by her spirit. He warns her that her clothes might get dirty, and she asks if her outfit is appropriate. Then she begins to change right there in the food truck. She takes off her oversized clothes and tosses them aside. Underneath, she reveals a snug and comfortable workout set. The protagonist turns bright red, stunned by how revealing it is. Then Si-hee grabs a bowl and dumps its contents straight into the hot oil. The oil erupts violently, startling her. Pieces of chicken fly through the air as she screams at the explosion. Acting fast, he shields her from the splattering oil with his body. He asks if she is all right while the hot drops burst around them like sparks. Her heart races as she looks at him, wondering what to do with this amazing man inches from her. She whispers his name, completely hypnotized. Just then, someone calls out for Si-hee, snapping his attention away. Si-hee is stunned and says her mother's name as the two remain frozen in that close moment. A flashback surges through her mind. In a recording studio, someone announces that the chairwoman of the SH group has arrived. This is Yoon-hee Young, Si-hee's mother, an intimidating and powerful woman. Without wasting words, the chairwoman immediately asks where her daughter, the heiress Nam Si-hee, has gone. One trembling employee answers that the young miss has not arrived yet and cannot be reached. With a cold stare, the woman calls for Secretary Kim, and the loyal assistant responds at once. Yoon-hee Young decides that she will personally search for her missing daughter. Back in the present, our protagonist feels the atmosphere outside the food truck change. Uncle Doc Chun, Ghost, panics when he realizes that the chairwoman of the SH group herself has appeared. Several men in suits suddenly surge forward and move to restrain Doc. He is subdued in seconds and forced to kneel in front of the formidable chairwoman. Secretary Kim, standing tall and intimidating, asks if she should deal with the man now. The chairwoman orders everyone to calm down and says that she will listen to what they have to say first. Sitting in an imposing chair like she owns the world, she announces that she will hear him out, regardless of what kind of excuse he offers. She even adds that these might be his last words, which terrifies Jun-ho. Jun-ho explains that he and Si-hee only worked together, insisting that there is nothing more between them. The heiress backs him up and says that her mother should believe what he is saying. The chairwoman then picks up a piece of fried chicken and asks curiously how much it costs. He answers that it is 10,000 won, and she reacts as if that is outrageous for a single piece. When he tries to clarify, she completely ignores him and turns a serious gaze on her daughter instead. She then asks if he even knows who the famous Nam Si-hee is. With a bored face, Doc replies that he has no idea who that could be. Si-hee's mother assumes he is pretending ignorance because of the status gap between them. Without softening her tone, she bluntly asks if he is in love with her precious daughter. Jun-ho answers directly that he does not like her at all. The chairwoman then faces Si-hee and calmly concludes that her daughter must be the one who is in love with him. With anger in her eyes, she demands to know if he spent the previous night with her daughter. Si-hee grows red with embarrassment as their conversation becomes more intense. The chairwoman, overwhelmed by the drama, suddenly faints, and Secretary Kim panics at her collapse. Annoyed, Jun-ho repeats that nothing happened between them the night before. When she recovers, the chairwoman steps closer and asks if he is at least dating her daughter. He denies it, but she keeps pressing and demands to know if he intends to marry her. With open contempt, she says that a street vendor like him has no right to even imagine such a thing. The protagonist is left speechless by her arrogance. The chairwoman then orders Secretary Kim to bring something special. The secretary opens a briefcase stuffed with money. The heiress and the ghost uncle both shout for the chairwoman to stop this insanity. She calmly offers 10 billion won, and the uncle's spirit is so thrilled that he already starts calling her mother-in-law. Banknotes fly through the air like a rain of cash. Si-hee is horrified, hiding her face as she watches her mother's stunt. The chairwoman, on the other hand, keeps her cold, shrewd expression, completely unfazed. She tells him to take the money and marry her daughter. He stands there lost, bombarded by a proposal and a mountain of cash right in front of him. Si-hee is humiliated and can barely lift her head as the two stare at each other. The chairwoman ignores the discomfort and continues insisting that he accept the money. Seeing this, Si-hee screams at her mother to stop this absurd scene. The chairwoman dismisses her protests and, with a mocking tone, repeats that he should marry her daughter. Jun-ho, sweating nervously, repeats the word, marriage, in disbelief in his own head. Si-hee hides behind her mother, dying of shame over the performance. With a superior look, the chairwoman remarks that there is one condition for the marriage. Before even hearing it, Jun-ho firmly declares that he is not interested. The chairwoman finds his defiance amusing and tells him not to be so scared yet. She reveals that he has to abandon the food truck and work for the SH group instead. She says he must be raised to the same social level as her daughter if he wants to marry her. At that, he slams his hand on the briefcase of money. With a dark expression, he asks if her true goal was the food truck all along. Moving closer, he says that he has a good nose for things like this, which clearly startles her. He leans in and says that he thinks she smells like a con artist. The chairwoman admits that she likes his spirit, but she adds a final condition. With a furious glare, she says that she despises any horse that cannot be tamed. Jun-ho grabs some food and declares that he will never hand over control to anyone. Turning his back on her, he says that she should not come looking for him again. He adds the same message for Nam Si-hee as well. Si-hee is heartbroken and reaches out to him, but he is already gone. Elsewhere, the towering headquarters of the SH group fills the city skyline. Inside, a polished nameplate marks the office of the chairwoman. In that office, Si-hee confronts her mother and says that she has spent her entire life obeying her wishes. She says that for the first time, she has something she wants for herself. She cries out that she found someone she likes and asks if money is really the problem. Her mother simply holds her coffee cup, silent and distant, while listening to her daughter's rant. Then she asks if Si-hee is looking down on the man because he is just a stray she picked up. The heiress is left breathless and unable to respond to her mother's cruelty. With a completely icy look, the chairwoman asks if her daughter is done with her little performance. She steps closer and says that she does not care who her daughter dates, because no one can ever stand on their level anyway. In a cold, dark tone, she says that she will allow her daughter to have that man. She adds that in order to keep him, Si-hee simply has to ensure that he can never again work in that pathetic food truck. Her mother intimidates her, saying that she must obey for the sake of the SH group and that she has to do as she is told, just like she always has. With tears filling her eyes, Si-hee feels cornered while her mother calls her a good girl. Meanwhile, life at the food truck appears to return to normal. The protagonist talks to his uncle's photo and says that he protected the truck his uncle left behind. The ghost complains that he threw away 10 billion won for that same business. Jun-ho's thoughts drift back to Nam Si-hee. He recalls how similar she seemed to him in the past but wonders if she only wanted the truck after all. Jun-ho taps the photo angrily as he realizes he was almost scammed again. Looking at his own reflection, he says that he will protect the food truck with his life. At the company, Secretary Kim hurls herself against a locked door, begging the young miss to calm down. Inside her room, Si-hee throws herself onto the bed and screams that everything is her mother's fault. In tears, she insists that 10 billion won means nothing to her and sobs over the fact that Jun-ho told her not to come back. She calls her mother terrible and manipulative, shaking with fear about what she might do next. She feels she has to protect him somehow. Then she remembers Jun-ho's serious but gentle face. She thinks about the moment he warmed her with his jacket, and that intense moment they shared in the food truck. With her cheeks burning, she admits to herself that she is already completely in love with him. Sitting up on the bed, she suddenly gets an idea. She shouts for her secretary at the top of her lungs. Rushing out, she grabs Secretary Kim and orders her to prepare everything immediately. With a fierce and determined look, she reveals her big plan, a proposal. Meanwhile, on a bright morning, the stray cat belonging to the food truck naps peacefully. Jun-ho wakes up and comments that the weather is perfect for business. He then frowns and wonders why a helicopter is so loud this early in the day. Looking up, he sees a helicopter airlifting his entire food truck into the sky. He freezes, unable to process what he is seeing. Then reality hits and he screams that his truck is being kidnapped. In a panic, he yells at the helicopter to stop at once, but of course no one listens. With no time to think, he starts sprinting after it. He soon realizes he cannot keep up and quickly rents a bike to chase the flying truck. Pedaling with everything he has, he struggles not to lose sight of it. Exhausted, he reaches a building and demands that they give his truck back. As he looks ahead, he is completely thrown off by what he finds. A brand new food truck stands there, a monstrous high-end model, wrapped in a huge gift ribbon. Slowly, its door opens like the curtains of a concert stage. To his astonishment, Si-hee appears inside, wearing a dazzling wedding gown. She calls his name with a loving gaze and a radiant smile. She says that she prepared all of this wholeheartedly, just for him. She happily tugs on the giant ribbon around the truck while he stands there speechless. On the side of the vehicle, the words SH Dining Cruise are written in elegant golden letters. She proudly says that this is an ultra-luxurious food truck built especially for him. She steps closer and says that from now on, the two of them will be together in that place. Furious, he slams her against the wall and demands to know what she has done. A flashback then shows Si-hee in a kitchen, wearing an apron and looking like a housewife. She tries to chop vegetables but clearly has no talent for it, until someone steps in to help. She reacts with surprise when a pair of hands gently guides hers. Jun-ho appears behind her and assists her, holding her hands with care. He tells her in a soft tone that he already warned her not to do anything risky. Flustered, she answers that she only wanted to be helpful to Mr. Jun-ho. Doc embraces her and says that her presence alone is already a gift. In an intensely romantic moment, he confesses his love and they share a passionate kiss. But it all turns out to be just a dream. In reality, Si-hee is leaning in and trying to kiss Secretary Kim. The secretary pulls away, confused, and asks what is so great about that man. She then remembers that the young Mrs. Simplest assets are worth around 900 billion won. On top of that, Si-hee owns a hidden art collection valued at 30 trillion won, as well as a private space station and fleets of secret submarines. The secretary practically has a breakdown, saying that compared to all that, poor Doc has nothing but one tiny little food truck. Si-hee explains that Jun-ho filled an emptiness inside her that nothing else ever could. She says that out of everything she owns, not a single thing was truly something she wanted. Now, for the first time, she has something she genuinely desires, and she declares that she has no intention of losing it no matter what. She thinks that the moment with him in the food truck felt like pure magic, a moment where her status did not matter at all. She believes that in that tiny space she discovered a kind of happiness that money can never buy. She insists that she prepared all of this for herself, simply because she wants to be happy. She adds that, of course, she also intends to make Mr. Jun-ho the happiest man alive. Comparing herself to Cinderella, she promises that she will change everything for his sake and turn him into a real prince. She says that he should not worry, and that all he has to do is step into the glass slippers and come to her. Her fairy tale shatters the next second when she is brought back to reality. Jun-ho casually crushes the glass slippers under his foot without any hesitation. With a dark expression, he reaches out, moving in closer. Still furious, he keeps her pinned in place and demands to know what she has done with his original food truck. He tells her not to stain his uncle's name by attaching it to that flashy new truck. Si-hee is completely overwhelmed and asks why he is acting like this. Secretary Kim snaps and yells at him for treating the young miss so roughly. Jun-ho recalls the news broadcast about the scam that cost him everything in the past. He explains that he knows exactly how people use sweet words as bait to swindle others and take everything from them. He states firmly that he refuses to fall for the same trick again, which leaves the secretary baffled. He turns to Si-hee and says that it does not matter if she is an heiress or anything else. He points at his uncle's name on the truck and declares that he has no intention of abandoning it. With a defiant stare, he thumps his chest and tells them to just try taking his food truck away from him. Si-hee blushes and starts wondering what he truly meant by those words. She realizes that, to him, it does not matter whether she is rich or not. Because of that, she completely misreads his meaning, convincing herself that he was talking about his heart instead of the truck. Everything clicks in her mind, and she suddenly becomes incredibly hopeful. The protagonist looks at both of them with a serious expression. By now, Si-hee is entirely in love with him. After that, Jun-ho returns to work, focusing on making his signature corn dogs. He finishes each one with the expert flair of a seasoned chef, sprinkling salt in a stylish motion. Smiling, he offers the fresh corn dog to the next person in line. Watching from the shadows, Si-hee promises herself that she will help him sell every last item that day. He finds the whole situation suspicious, but he cannot deny that business is booming. Even so, he starts to notice something odd about the customers. One of them loudly praises the food before even taking a bite, and that instantly raises his suspicions. In disguise, Si-hee spots him scanning the area, clearly on alert for anything shady. While the cat naps calmly nearby, Jun-ho chooses to ignore the strange crowd and calls the next customer forward. The heiress steps up and declares that she will buy everything, but he recognizes her immediately. She tries again with a different disguise, yet he repeats that he will not sell to Miss Nam Si-hee. Refusing to give up, she appears once more in an adorable costume, and this time he completely loses his patience. He calls her stubborn and yanks the oversized kitten head off her. Frustrated, she asks why he refuses to sell food to her. She insists that he should at least give her a chance, while he questions the basis of her confidence. Si-hee raises her voice and asks what she has to do, saying that she is willing to do anything. Jun-ho seems to mull over her words for a brief moment. Then, without warning, he suddenly pulls her into a hug. She is stunned by his unexpected gesture. Blushing hard, she starts panicking internally, convinced that she is not ready for this kind of moment. She imagines a dramatic, romantic kiss unfolding between them right then and there. She closes her eyes and steels herself, saying that she is ready for Mr. Jun-ho. Jun-ho just stares at her in confusion and asks what Miss Nam Si-hee is doing. It turns out he was only trying to tie an apron around her waist and has no idea why she is reacting that way. He tells her that if she wants to eat, she has to earn it like everyone else. Fired up, the heiress changes outfits and accepts his challenge, thrilled at the chance to work with him. He is irritated by her extreme enthusiasm, so he simply tells them to get started, and she agrees, though a little deflated. On the job, the heiress diligently serves customers while someone quietly snaps pictures of her from the sidelines. In one photo, she beams with joy while trying to drizzle sauce on a corn dog, but the sauce completely misses the target. In another, she nearly causes the fryer to explode, sending Jun-ho into full panic mode. After all the chaos, she finally gets to taste a corn dog that she made herself. The last photo captures the two of them at the end of the day, sharing a very sweet and charming moment together. It is revealed that Secretary Kim is the one taking the pictures while speaking to the chairwoman on the phone. The look in the secretary's eyes shows that she is plotting something against the protagonist. In another scene, back home, his phone will not stop buzzing with notifications. Stepping out of the shower, Jun-ho wonders who is sending so many messages. It is Si-hee, repeatedly asking him out on a date, but he chooses to ignore her and leaves all her messages unread. He decides he will keep ignoring her, yet the phone keeps vibrating non-stop, driving him crazy. Annoyed, Jun-ho finally heads to his computer and opens a new email that has just arrived. Seeing the result in the email, he shoots up from his chair with his laptop in hand. At his food truck, he celebrates loudly because he has won the auction for the amusement park vendor spot. Soon he is there at the park, preparing ice cream with impressive skill. The swirl of ice cream, the chocolate syrup, and the bright red cherry look irresistible, becoming the highlight of the day. The protagonist then says that everything is ready and that he can finally begin. But he finds it strange, because the amusement park is completely empty. To make things worse, opening time has already passed and not a single customer has appeared. He wonders if the reason is the weather, thinking maybe it will rain. Then Si-hee suddenly materializes behind him and licks the ice cream he is holding. With a smile, she says his name and tells him she is glad he finally arrived. He is stunned and asks how she managed to find him. A light goes on in his mind, and he begins to suspect the truth. With narrowed eyes, he asks if the amusement park belongs to the SH group as well. Si-hee shakes her hand in denial and tells him he is wrong. She then reveals that no other customers will be showing up today, which infuriates him. She tosses money into the air and proudly says she rented the entire amusement park just for them. She adds that if she does this for the whole month, only she will be able to buy from him. Hearing this, he realizes he is completely trapped, and she gives him a triumphant smile. Still holding him by the wrist, she cheerfully tells him to focus only on her today. She drags him through the empty park as if guiding him through their own private world. Far away, Secretary Kim watches everything unfold and says she will step in for the chairwoman. But the chairwoman replies that she will handle the orders herself and instructs Secretary Kim not to interfere. Then she asks if the secretary does not trust her. Filled with frustration, Secretary Kim clenches her fist so tightly that she punches the wall and cracks it. With fiery determination, she says she will prove her worth in her own way. On a ride nearby, she thinks that the protagonist is the root of all problems and that removing threats is her duty. She decides she must neutralize the danger before anything gets worse. She concludes that to eliminate the threat, she must seduce him. She recalls spending 5 million won on a professional dating course, feeling confident because she has mastered every relationship theory in existence. Meanwhile, the protagonist, completely unaware, is sweating nervously under her intense stare. While the ride gains speed, she says the first step is maintaining constant eye contact, gripping the safety bar in a bizarre pose as she drills holes into him with her gaze. As the roller coaster dives, she keeps staring at him without blinking. Secretary Kim screams with excitement as the ride speeds up. Si-hee laughs joyfully and shouts his name with pure happiness. On another ride, the secretary grabs him from behind, applying her physical touch technique. During a water ride, all three of them get soaked, and the secretary thinks her plan is flawless. Si-hee shouts that she is having the time of her life. Afterward, dripping wet, the protagonist sees Si-hee holding up a photo she took of the moment. She says it is perfect timing for something she wanted and pulls him by the hand. Soon they appear wearing school uniforms for a classic amusement park photo shoot. Inside the booth, Si-hee gives him a kiss on the cheek, but he stays expressionless. Her kitten headband makes her look even cuter, perfect for the date she dreamed of. On the pirate ship ride, Si-hee lets go of the bars and starts clinging to him, bouncing with each swing. Seeing this, Secretary Kim leaps from her seat and calls the protagonist a loser. But when the huge ship drops down, she loses control. She realizes her mistake in slow motion and reaches out, shouting for the young miss to grab her hand. The protagonist asks how she can call herself a bodyguard when she cannot even stay upright on a basic ride. Secretary Kim, furious, demands to know what he just said. In her rage, she grabs his arm. In one swift movement, she flips him over her shoulder and slams him into the ground. Dazed, he asks if she did not just tell him to hold her hand. The secretary then pulls Si-hee close and questions why he is unaffected by everything. She cannot understand why her seduction techniques are failing so miserably. She insists that her theories are flawless and wonders what went wrong. With Plan A ruined, she decides it is time for Plan B, gripping the ride's steering wheel with all her strength. She starts spinning it at maximum speed. Si-hee squeals with delight, enjoying the ride's extreme spin. But the protagonist becomes dizzy and begs her to stop. Her plan is simple: disorient him and then overwhelm him so she can reset his thoughts. The ride spins so violently that it becomes a literal tornado. Jun-ho and Si-hee scream in panic as they whirl around. Fed up, the protagonist grabs the secretary's wrists and tells her to stop her madness. Secretary Kim freezes because he suddenly holds her hands. He looks at her with a deep, unbroken gaze, and she feels her heart thump wildly. His firm grip and intense eye contact make her own theory backfire spectacularly. She becomes completely red-faced and speechless at his unexpected touch. He says that he is dizzy, and she wonders if she is the one falling for him instead. He tells her to let go, but she refuses, and he warns that he will get sick if she continues. She realizes he nearly reversed her entire plan and thinks he is not an ordinary man. Then she glances sideways and thinks that the young miss absolutely cannot see him like this. Feeling queasy at an amusement park, Secretary Kim holds her up and apologizes for the young miss's condition. It seems that Jun-ho is tagging along with them through the park. Suddenly, Si-hee becomes horribly embarrassed by what just happened. She tries to blame Secretary Kim for the loud stomach growl, but Jun-ho has already heard it clearly. The secretary reluctantly accepts the blame, but Jun-ho knows perfectly well that it was Si-hee. Secretary Kim turns red with anger and shame over the situation. The heiress then announces that she is going to the restroom and asks Jun-ho to wait for her. While he waits, Jun-ho picks up a toy gun from a nearby stall. Secretary Kim challenges him to a shooting game, proposing a bet. He gives her a bored look, clearly not very interested. He takes aim and asks her what she really wants from this. Staying blunt, the secretary cocks her own gun and says that she will be straightforward. She tells him to choose one out of two options she is about to present. She lists the first option as kicking the bucket, then reveals the second. She proposes that he fall in love with her, which leaves him stunned. Secretary Kim stands at the shooting range with the shotgun aimed squarely at his head. She calmly tells him to choose, saying that he must either die or fall for her. He stiffens with the game gun still in his hands and demands in utter confusion what she is talking about, thinking that the weapon pointed at him looks frighteningly real. She replies in a cold voice that she will permit him to like her, but only if he keeps his distance from the miss. He lowers his own gun to his shoulder and grumbles that everyone in that family seems desperate to push him away. He adds that even if she delivered a truck full of Ms. Nam Se-hee, he would have no use for her, asking them to simply cart her off. He begins to say that he would never want a woman who only cares about his truck, but before he can finish, she pulls the trigger. The sudden blast makes him freeze as he watches the projectile dart toward him, wondering in horror if she truly fired a real round. Her fury ignites as she repeats his words and shouts that he says he does not need their miss. The rubber bullet slams into him and drops him to his knees. Grabbing his upper arm, he yells that his shoulder is killing him, but when he checks under his shirt he realizes in bafflement that nothing seems damaged. She pumps the shotgun and explains that it is a rubber round used for riot control, though she adds that making him lose the use of that arm permanently is not out of the question. She leans closer and warns that this is his final chance, then demands loudly that he admit he likes her. Staring up at the barrel, he thinks bleakly that she is completely unhinged. He suddenly bolts, deciding they need to get out now. More shots crack behind him as he runs. Nam Se-hee appears ahead, waving happily and calling out to Mr. Jun-ho. He charges forward, grabs her, and pulls her into his arms, offering a stiff apology and saying that Ms. Nam Se-hee should forgive him for the sudden contact. She blushes, manages a shaky yes, and then gasps when he sweeps her off her feet and carries her away. Secretary Kim shouts that he is taking the miss hostage, as she watches them disappear, groaning in exasperation yet silently urging him to keep going. She watches his retreating figure with the miss in tow and thinks that he should run, Jun-ho. Then she straightens and decides privately that if she cannot have him, she will simply break him. Later, in a haunted school building, Uncle Doc Chun greets the pair, welcoming them and declaring that they have entered the cursed halls, not that they can see him anyway. In the dim red corridor, Nam Se-hee clings to Jun-ho's arm and asks if he has finally agreed to go on a date with her. He answers that for now she should just stay close, thinking that they can hide here and stall for time. Blushing, she whispers her agreement. Above them a camera rotates, and on her tablet Secretary Kim watches the feed, remarking that she cannot believe he walked into that place by choice, which she had personally modified earlier. She describes that the haunted house is the park's most famous attraction and notes that for their miss, with her reflexes and athletic skill, it is nothing more than child's play. Jun-ho mutters that it does not seem that bad, right before the entire set erupts. Se-hee says it is because the house is extremely realistic. He wonders whether they will survive. Nam Se-hee laughs that it just became even more entertaining as 3 arrows shoots towards him. Before it's too late, Se-hee slams into him and knocks him flat. Standing over him, she tells him not to worry and promises she will stay near and protect him. Under the purple lights he stares at her, sweat gathering at his brow, thinking that staying here means certain death. Elsewhere, Secretary Kim stares at her tablet, murmuring wait, and then insisting that something feels wrong as she sees him shielding the miss. Soon after, he hoists Nam Se-hee and sprints, a horde of ghouls stampeding behind. Kim thinks that if this continues, Jun-ho would be the only one helping Se-hee. He snatches a flashlight from the floor. In another corridor, darkness swallows everything until his beam flicks on. The light lands on a long-haired girl crouched ahead. The sight makes him jerk back, stammering in horror and barely forcing out a fragmented what the before the apparition lunges straight into the light. Secretary Kim Ghost Girl Edition hurls herself at him, her leg going for his face. He barely manages to dodge backwards while the flashlight beam slices frantic arcs through the dark. He scrambles upright with the light extended and yells that this is completely insane, while Nam Se-hee stands back completely nonchalantly. He sweeps the beam across the hallway and pants that he has no idea where the ghost went. The corridor reveals only dust and toppled props. Then, as he turns, he spots the shrouded figure lying coming at him from above. While he hesitates, The figure snaps upright, red eyes blazing through the cloth. Nam Se-hee sees a red button. She wonders what it is and clicks it without hesitation. Just as she did that, while Secretary Kim almost had him, a cage fell from above, trapping them both. They crash in a tangle of limbs and fabric, their screams overlapping. Secretary Kim lets out a stifled grunt as she opens her eyes to see their lips touching. Her thoughts halt for a second, wondering if those are truly his lips. Completely embarrassed, Secretary Kim kicks him off of her with force, sending him crashing. With her face bright red, she says that she is going to kill him. Flat on his back, he can only wheeze that he wants to go home. Nam Se-hee crouches near him in a wash of pink light, smiling brightly and telling him they have no time to rest. Soon they are running again across the open plaza as carousel lights whirl around them. Behind them, Secretary Kim charges in pursuit, slamming a control on her wrist device and shouting that he will not escape, while digital prompts say that her speed has increased. On the carousel platform, they are finally cornered by the railing and spinning lights. He looks around in despair, thinking that that woman is relentless to the very end. Nam Se-hee presses close to his arm and exclaims that they are trapped, while he eyes her suspiciously and wonders if she orchestrated all of this. Exhausted, he begs her to stop. She beams and reminds him that she is only doing exactly what he demanded, declaring that she will stay at his side, Mr. Jun-ho, for a full month. Cornered, he asks what he must do for her to end this. She leans in, hair fluttering, and says that he already knows, because she is only asking for what she truly wants. As the carousel spins into golden streaks, she slides her arms around his neck and draws him close until their faces nearly meet and her intent charges the space between their almost touching lips.